What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. Hope you're all doing well. Let's start with some baseball. Got the Washington Nationals beat the Cubs 4-3. Detroit beats the Mets 2-0. Let's go swept by Detroit. They really got to pick it up. I'm hoping now that Scherzer and Verlander are healthy, they'll start to pick it up. It just seems like one day they can't get anything going offensively, even though the pitching's really good. And then the next day, they'll score a lot of runs, but they'll start with a knockdown in the third inning. He's got a lot of injuries pitching wise, dealing with a lot of issues. But I'm hoping they get Verlander and Scherzer back, they'll start to settle down and they'll play a little bit better. And hopefully Carlos Carrasco, who I believe is making a rehab assignment, hopefully he's back soon too. That'll also help. He'll replace Dave Pearson in the rotation most likely. They'll keep McGill over Pearson, I would think. Tampa beats Pittsburgh 3-2. They continue the roll. Angels beat the Cardinals 11-7. Baltimore beats Kansas City in a very high scoring game, 13-10. Baltimore's playing some really good baseball. Minnesota beats the White Sox 7-3. Colorado beats Milwaukee 9-6. Seattle beats Oakland 5-3. Atlanta beats Miami 6-3, and Boston beats Toronto 11-5. That's what we got going on for baseball. Let's talk about the playoffs. Start with hockey. Florida beats the Maple Leafs 3-2. Take a 2-0 series lead. Gustav Forsling had a goal. Anton Lundell goal on an assist. Sergei Bobrovsky had 35 saves. Another strong game from Bobrovsky. Florida wins 3-2. Toronto jumped out 2-0, and Florida got 2 early in the second, and then they had an equalizer. Florida, they're playing really well, and I picked Florida to win the series once Florida advanced, and I knew they played Toronto, and that's looks like they're going to. They're up 2-0. They've been the better hockey team so far. They've been better offensively. They've had better goaltending. Sergei is outdoing Elos Samsonov, so they look like the better team right now. Dallas Stars beat the Seattle Kraken 4-2. They evened up the series at one game apiece. Wyatt Johnson, who had 24 goals as a rookie this year, first round pick in 2021 by Dallas, so was 21 years old, had a goal and an assist. Tyler Seguin had a goal and an assist. 25 saves from Jake Ottinger. Dallas evens up that series. The finalists for the Norris Trophy for the best defenseman in hockey have been announced. They are Erik Karlsson in San Jose. You got Adam Fox from the New York Raiders and Cale Makar from the Colorado Avalanche. I think he'll definitely be Karlsson. Hit over 100 points. He's the first defenseman to have over 100 points since Brian Leetch did, about probably at this point. I'm not sure if that was the Rangers Cup year in '94, so it's been probably over 30 years, since about 30 years, if not more. So it should definitely be Erik Karlsson this year. On to basketball. We had some playoffs last night. We had the one game. It was the Golden State Warriors against Los Angeles Lakers. Golden State takes it 127-100. They absolutely blow out the Los Angeles Lakers. They were the better team the whole way. They're up by 11 going into the half, and then they were up by about 30 going to the fourth. Clay had 30 points in the game, including 8 threes. Steph 20 points, 12 assists. The Warriors even up a series at one game apiece. This proves how viable Anthony Davis is to the team. First game he had 31 points, 17 rebounds, had a couple blocks. Lakers win. He only had about 11 points last night or something like that, and Lakers lose by 27. He's so frustrating, Anthony Davis, to watch. He'll have a 5-game stretch to average 30, 15, 5 blocks. Then he'll have 3 games where he averages 10 points and 8 rebounds, and then he gets hurt and is out for 3 months. He's so talented. Probably the most talented power forward this league has ever seen. But he's not the same player. He's had too many injuries. He's a little inconsistent. And Lakers can have that because LeBron James cannot carry a team anymore. He's 38 years old. He's still a great player. He'll still give you 25 points and 8 rebounds. But he's not going to be dropping 30 and 40 every night. Playoff LeBron is, as soon as they hit the postseason, he's not going to be able to average 30 points a game for an entire postseason. He's just, still a great player. It's very impressive. He's still a top 15 guy at 38 years old, but he cannot carry a team anymore. He needs AD to help him out. And when AD is giving you what he did in game 1, 31-17, a couple blocks, the Lakers are a very hard team to beat. But when AD's going out there scoring 11 points, the Lakers are a very beatable team. So AD is absolutely the X factor for the Los Angeles Lakers. The Milwaukee Bucks fired head coach Mike Budenholzer yesterday. He is out. He won the championship 2 years ago, but he's out after losing in the first round to the 8th seed in Miami Heat. I think it was the right move. Yeah, people going back and forth, saying maybe, should they have, should they not have? He won a championship 2 years ago. I think it was the right move. I understand. I know his brother passed away during this year. That could have been a distraction. I feel horrible for Mike Budenholzer. That's absolutely horrible. I can't imagine having to deal with that. But still, at the end of the day, you cannot he cannot be that good, perform that poorly in the playoffs and not make a single change. A change needs to be made. And he's been given some great teams. He had great teams in Atlanta. The 1 year where they were in the conference finals and lost to LeBron. That was the best. That was the first they ever went. Then he goes to Milwaukee. And I know they were in the conference finals. I think it was last year. They lost to Boston. I know they didn't have Middleton. But outside of that, in the bubble, you lose in the second round. That's a team that probably should win a championship. And it feels like they've made an excuse every single year. A couple of years ago, when they were in the second round against Toronto, they're up 2-0, and then they end up losing. I know Kawhi had a historic postseason run that year, but then in the bubble, it was the bubble. And then last year, we didn't have Chris Middleton. They still took the Boston Celtics to Game 7. But what is the excuse this year? I know Giannis missed 2 games. But first of all, he only missed 2 games. There was 3 other games. They won one of the games that Giannis was out. They were able to take one of those games. That's not a legit excuse. And I know people were saying that his brother did pass away during the series. First of all, you should not blame that for the reason the Bucks lost. That's terrible. Imagine being Mike Budenholzer and having to hear about that even more. I can't imagine. So the team had difficult to lose me. So I think that's not fair at all to even consider that for either side of things. But change needed to be made. He's out in Milwaukee. So the head coaching council has been very interesting. Obviously, Houston has already found the coach. They hired Ime Udoka a couple weeks ago. There's still Detroit is opening. They moved Dwayne Casey to the front office. He's not coaching there anymore. Toronto fired Nick Nurse, so they are an opening. And then Milwaukee has an opening. So there are some big names out there. Budenholzer himself, obviously, he won a championship 2 years ago. And he is a good coach. I don't think he's an elite coach, but I think he's a good coach. He should be able to get a job somewhere else. Nick Nurse, I would not be surprised if he can get a job somewhere else. He should. I do think Toronto needed to make a change. Toronto need to change, but Nick Nurse is a good coach. He also won a championship pretty recently. The full stat, it was a crazy stat. Of the last 4 teams that won a championship, 3 of them have fired their coach. Nick Nurse was fired by Toronto. You had Budenholzer was just fired by Milwaukee. And there was one more than missing. Frank Vogel with the Lakers was fired after last year. He won a championship in the bubble. And of course, the only guy remaining is Steve Kerr, who won last year. Steve Kerr also has 4, but it's a whole other story. That's a crazy stat. But yeah, so head coaching council will be interesting right now. Detroit, Milwaukee, and Toronto still need a coach. There's some big name. Obviously, Budenholzer is available. You got Nick Nurse available. So could one of those guys go to Detroit? I know I heard from Milwaukee. I heard that Charles Lee, their top assistant, who's been a head coach candidate for a couple of years now, he's one of the top candidates in Detroit. I heard they could promote him. Milwaukee's a team that probably needs a change, but not a complete makeover. That being said, Charles Lee has also been Budenholzer's assistant since 2014, back when he was in Atlanta. So how much of a change would that really be? So you got to weigh that. I think you wonder, could they bring in Nick Nurse? We know what kind of coach Nick Nurse is. I know there were some issues. I know I think the front office was talking with him about, there were some issues with accountability and developing the bench players. I mean, the accountability, that's a behind the scenes thing. No one really knows. The whole developing the bench thing, that sounds like BS. First of all, Toronto has got no depth. That was their main concern for me. Look at their team: Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, OG Anunoby. This team should absolutely be a playoff team. For them to barely even be in the play-ins and losing the play-ins in the first round of the play-ins is a major concern. The team they have no depth at all. Besides Siakam, OG Anunoby, VanVleet, and then Scotty Barnes, who I did think took a step back his second year. I expect him to be a lot better next year, possibly even break out. Could be similar thing to John Morant, who in his rookie year was phenomenal, was rookie of the year. Second year was good, but didn't quite take the next step, and then his third year completely broke out. Could that be Scotty Barnes, who was rookie year was fantastic, was rookie of the year? Second year was good, but didn't quite take a huge jump. But then maybe could he break out year next year? Could he follow that similar path? We shall see. But they need to change. Then obviously Detroit, moved up from Dwayne Casey, but they're keeping him in the organization. We'll see where they go from there. But the head coaching council in the NBA should be pretty interesting. There are some big names that are available. Could Frank Vogel get another shot? We'll see. On to football, we got the New York Giants extend Dexter Lawrence, their all-pro defensive tackle, 4 years, $90 million, $60 million guaranteed, big contract for Dexter Lawrence. He had a phenomenal year last year from first round at Clemson a few years ago. He had a phenomenal year. He's become one of the best D tackles in all of football. He was an all-pro last year. He's now the third highest paid D tackle in the league. Shout out to Dexter Lawrence. There was a rumor that Tom Brady might walk away from his Fox deal, which is a 10-year, $375 million contract for him to be a broadcaster for Fox. He said he's going to start that in 2024, so that he can take this year to learn and study. And apparently he wants to be a broadcaster. Apparently he's going to try to take Greg Olson's spot. And then Greg Olson said he's not going to identify a fight, so that should be interesting. I hope he doesn't take spot. I have no confidence that Brady will be good. He doesn't have the greatest personality in the world. And I like Greg Olson. I think he's a good color commentator. So I hope Brady does not take his spot. I don't think that'll be fair, but that's a whole other story. That report by the New York Post, Brady today called fake news. So it appears that Brady will still work for Fox in some role as a broadcaster or whatever, starting in 2024. So keep your eyes on that. Eagles signed Dan Arnold, a tight end, for a 1-year deal. I actually like Dan Arnold. I thought he was underrated. He was in Carolina at first. He thought he was a good red zone threat. Then he went. He was in. Then he was in Jacksonville. He got traded to Carolina. No, he was in Carolina. He got traded to Jacksonville for CJ Henderson. He was playing well, and then he got hurt last year. They bring in Evan Engram. His emergence didn't do a whole lot. He'll obviously be the number 2 to Dallas Goedert, but if Goddard ever gets hurt, I think he's a nice guy that can step in. I think Darren's always been underrated. I think he's a good red zone threat. Nice chess piece to have in the red zone. He goes to Philly. And the Chiefs signed Donovan Smith to one year deal worth up to $9 million. Longtime left tackle for Tampa, who was released for cap reasons earlier this offseason. He's also a little bit older, isn't the same, but he'll probably start for the Chiefs. They did sign Jawan Taylor in the offseason. He's a very good off the tackle, can play left or right tackle. But they also lost Orlando Brown, who went to Cincinnati, and they lost Andrew Wiley, their right tackle as well. So my guess is Donovan Smith will probably start for the Chiefs next year. Don't have too much else. The Wells Fargo Championship is currently going on. Tyrell Hatton is in a three-way tie with Lashley and Clark for the lead right now in round 2. But that's all I got for you guys today. Until next time, so long. Have a great day.